Georgia Virtue presents the Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong podcast.
Welcome to episode 267. This week, we have Back to Basic Phones, Delta Beeline, The Hot Shot for Pedos, Hanging Around with Epstein, An Unnatural Gas Law, Grab a Friend and a Smoke, SCOTUS may rein in the alphabet agencies, The Hostage was asking for it, Pop a Top, and another bank bites the dust. I'm Dave Roberts. With me is my partner for the endeavor, the Representative Emeritus, Ken Pullen.
Hey, Dave. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm all right.
Filming at night and instead of the mornings, did a little bit of swap up this week.
Yeah, you need a helicopter. The day we normally record, Ken's got a meeting, and it's damn near cross state.
Driving from the south side of Atlanta to the north side of Atlanta on a Friday does not sound like a lot of fun.
It wouldn't be my first choice. But then again, I said, I've got jobs all over. I run jobs in Augusta. Sometimes down in Brunswick.
Ooh, that's a lot. Brunswick's a long way.
Well, you go down for a couple of days. You don't just go down there and change a filter and come back. It's going to be something worth my time.
What do you do? Go to Savannah and make a right for another couple hours?
Another at least hour and a half, yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's a long way.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're looking for, I mean, there are some decent places to eat in Brunswick, but you're kind of right in between Jacksonville, Metro Jacksonville, and Metro Savannah.
Yep.
But I don't have to deal with the Savannah mayor, so.
I haven't heard a lot out of him lately. We'll have to give everybody an update on Van Johnson in a week or so.
And he's still licking his wounds from losing his lawsuits.
Hey, I think he's going to run for mayor in the next gubernatorial election. Though I think he's building up his profile, and he'll jump in the ring with the rest of them.
Good luck. Well, the guy that wanted to put separate rules in for Savannah. With guns, which state law supersedes local municipalities, with mask requirements, with shutting down restaurants. Jump in, Van. Come on.
I know, but hey, just like federally, the Democrats don't have a big bench, and some of my Democrat friends may get upset with me for saying this, but there's not a large bench in Georgia either that have that statewide appeal. Not that Van does, but he probably could raise some money, and then we'll have to see what he does. I think he's a contender.
It's possible. Doesn't Joe Lieberman's son live in Georgia?
Yes, he does, because he was running for the Senate election a few years ago. Good call. Mike Lieberman, I think.
Yeah, that's somebody who could raise some nationwide money.
Yeah, it is.
Of course, I think the Dems are still a little sore with Joe.
Yeah, they are. And I think they're sore with Stacey taking up so much coverage the last 6 or 7 years. I think they're ready for her to move on.
Yeah. So the big story last week was the shooting at the Atlanta Medical Center. There's not a whole lot of information for us to talk about. So anything we talked about now is speculation because no motive has been released. You and I have both heard rumors from different people. I mean, people who normally I would think are in the know, but as we record, everything is way too fresh. He has been charged with murder and 4 counts of aggravated assault. This is gonna be a long process because he just went into Fannie Willis's corral, and I would assume he's gonna be in the mental health wing, which is where old dude died being bit to death by bed bugs and roaches.
Oof, not a good place to go.
So he probably wasn't thinking too clearly when he did that. So Gen Z folks are ditching their smartphones.
I saw this story earlier this week. So it sounds like all the Gen Zers are getting time. I mean, they there's a lot of studies about mental health issues, and the Gen Zers are actually trying to cut back on their cell phone usage. And a lot are going to what they call dumb phones now, which in my terminology is a flip phone.
Yeah, I mean, look, I loved my StarTAC.
I did too.
Yeah, I'm sure we're dating ourselves, but I loved my StarTAC. And I even had the extra batteries and desktop charger for it.
I thought about going back to a flip phone. I just got to make it a little easier to text. That's the only problem. I can't hit the number 5, 2 or 3 times to get a letter. So if you can find an easier way for me to text on a flip phone, I'm all with it.
BlackBerry. It's not made anymore.
And I always forget what year Gen Zers are. So what is this? They were actually, I think that they're late 90s.
They're after millennials.
Yep. So they're right after me. So it's late 1990s.
Right after you.
No, I'm sorry. I was born in 75. So they're quite a bit after me. So it's the late 90s and early 2000s. Wow.
Yeah. Gen Zers are your kids.
Yes, they are. So and they're not ditching their cell phones. It doesn't appear anytime soon. But yeah, it just sounds like a lot of this is around mental health and adding to their quality of life. So I think they're so caught up in staying on their devices all the time that potentially ditching a device and going to something where they don't use it all the time.
Well, this is interesting in that it's sort of life imitating art. Are you familiar with Rick and Morty?
No, I'm not.
All right. It's the smartest dumb show you can ever watch. It's a cartoon. It comes on late at night. And in fact, Delta had it on their seatback entertainment for a while.
Okay, it's on Adult Swim. I see. Okay.
Yeah. So one of the episodes, they go and get detox, take all the bad stuff out of them. And Morty, the grandkid, goes, "I ditched the smartphone. I went with a clamshell, just for emergencies. I want to be in the moment. I feel much more healthy." So, I mean, this is exactly what they're saying in this article.
Yes.
Was almost line for line what was happening with Rick and Morty when they got their toxins taken from them and got mentally healthy again. I'm telling you, it is the smartest dumb show you'll ever watch. I mean, it's dumb enough to be funny and smart enough to like, oh, okay. But anyway, it's hard for people like you and me who are a little higher drive.
Right.
Like for Gen Zs, I can get it. I want to be more mentally healthy. I want to work a 30-hour work week. I want 4 days a week. That kind of stuff where as much as I'm on the road, I need to be able to send emails from my phone.
I do too.
When I go into a municipality to pull a permit, just like I did earlier today, walk in, there's, "Oh, we didn't get your state license. You know what? I've got it right here. Bam." And I can shoot it over to them or airdrop it to them or anything like that. But yes, do I sit on my phone with TV on and play golf? Yes.
Yeah, I play a little bit too much on my phone. I'll say I need to put it down more. But flip phone, not so much. I don't think I'm going that far.
Oh yeah, you're gonna play Snake. What was that? Snake and
yes,
and Mine Hunter or Minesweeper.
Yes, I remember Snake. That's funny.
So, believe it or not, a Delta plane was delayed because of bees.
I know. What is going on with all the animals around planes, which is pretty much terrifying. But in this case, this plane was leaving Houston, a Delta plane, and it looked like bees swarmed the wing of the plane. And when I say swarm, there were thousands of bees that just lit at one time on the airplane wing.
First thing I thought was, again, I guess I have I watch too much TV, is Little Nicky, where he goes, "We bring you now a dear, sweet man, Henry Winkler, covered in bees." and look, there's so many obtuse things that happened with this, and part of it's FAA regulations. Like, if you went and got a bee collector, they know exactly how to handle that swarm. They come out with a cooler. Knock the swarm into the cooler, close the lid, and then the stragglers, go and do whatever. Can't do that. Can't let somebody who's not certified touch an airplane.
Yeah, they said a beekeeper couldn't touch the plane, like you said, because they weren't certified, and they wouldn't let pest control spray the plane. So they had to sit there on the runway or sit there at the gate and wait on all the bees to leave, which took about 3 hours.
Yeah, so they tried using the tug and move the plane back and forth, push away from the gate, pull it back. Didn't work. Finally, they fired the engines up, and then the bees decide, this is not a great place for us to start our hive.
Yeah, it's time to leave. And there was a lady on the plane sitting beside the the wing or the engine, and she was tweeting about it the entire time, a play-by-play of what was going on.
Well, and first thing Connie said was, well, wouldn't they just fall off? The same thing Eric said. When they fall off at takeoff, yeah, but there's a lot of little moving things on an airplane wing. Now, I think this was on the winglet, which is the little tiny middle finger that comes up at the end of the wing. So there's less. There's not. It's not as close to moving parts, but there are a lot of things that you don't want getting stuck in the moving parts of the airplane.
No, because there's been a couple planes over the last year that have taken off, and birds have flown into the engines. There's a lot of nature going on around airports, it feels like. Well,
yeah, we have a honey colony out in the Paulding County Airport, because there's so much land behind there that they've got beehives, and they sell the honey for $3 or $4 at the Chamber of Commerce.
And I guess they haven't lit on any airplane wings yet. Thank goodness.
I think the Learjet that's there, or it's a Gulfstream, I don't know what the hell it is, or in the props, they just fire it up and get rid of the bees. So speaking of getting rid of, DeSantis is wanting to give the hot shot to pedos.
Yeah, this is more of really a theme this year of Governor DeSantis in Florida and even Governor Kemp in Georgia being very, very tough on crime. So like you said, this is if you're convicted of child rape for a child under 12 years old, you can actually have the death penalty against you.
So the 13-year-old's in the clear.
13-year-olds in the clear. Yeah, this is 12 and under. And this comes on the heels of last week. We talked about in Florida now that, historically you've had to have 12 out of 12 jurors convict somebody, to go be executed for the death penalty. So Florida took that down to 8 out of 12 jurors can convict for the death penalty. And now this is a death penalty for child rapists.
Look, this was in violation of a 2008 Supreme Court decision.
Mm-hmm.
And look, we sound like we defend the worst people on earth on the show. And this goes back almost 270 episodes. It sounded like we defend the worst people in the world. It's not look, if a parent catches you and you whack them, if I'm sitting on the jury, nullified.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, I'm certainly not convicting a parent for or anybody for whacking a pedophile, because I don't care. It's when the state's doing it. And how many cases have we seen nationwide where we see people who are accused, falsely accused sometimes, especially with delayed discovery, this idea that you have repressed memories and that when those memories come out, that's when the clock starts for a statute of limitations. So, I don't know if Florida has that theory, but the idea that if you were abused as a young child, as those memories come up, and then you can go after them. And we have found that patients can be led by psychologists. If they start with the ending point of, I think you were molested, now we're going to start going back and filling in those holes, and you start getting your mind is very impressionable,
right?
Particularly when you're feeling victimized, your mind is very impressionable. And if you have someone who seems like they know what they're talking about, no, I've seen these symptoms before. You were definitely abused.
Yep. Yeah, this is, having kids. Yeah, I'm like you, Dave. If that ever happened, you would have to, the person he'd have to go to jail, not for me not to kill him, right? And I get what DeSantis is trying to do here, and I get what the Florida legislature is trying to do. I think this is probably going to be overturned by the Supreme Court once a case gets brought forth. But man, if the person is guilty of child rape, it's got to be the worst. I mean, I don't know if there's a crime any worse than this. I'm not sure murder is worse than child rape.
And I'll put a couple of things out there. One, the time is a lot easier on death row.
Yeah.
You get turned into to general population. I've read a lot of the stuff on prisons, especially with Jessica doing the stuff at Smith State. So I started doing some research online, and they say when you get to general population, they ask to see your papers, which is I guess your paperwork saying what you were convicted of and all that stuff. Gangs cool, theft cool, this cool, that cool, whatever. But they have a special hate for child rapists.
Yep.
And they don't have an easy time.
Good. Yes.
I mean, that opposed to staying in a nice, safe, dry cell for the next 30 years while the case bounces
while the
around.
pills go through. Yeah, right.
Not to mention the problem with this, and I've said on the show before, you incentivize the offender to kill the victim.
Yep.
The punishment's the same. So
no. One of the other things that the people that were against this were saying is if the person that was raped or their parents or anybody close by knows that the person did it now can be executed, is it going to make people not come forward and report these crimes if they know that the penalty is death? I don't know if I agree with that or not, but that was one of the things that the people against this were saying is it's going to make people not come forward any longer.
I'd commit fratricide if I discovered something like that in my own family.
No doubt.
But that notwithstanding, it's not a bad theory, especially when you start thinking about all the allegations that the Catholic Church moved around.
Right.
Are you gonna turn? We're gonna get rid of Father Mulcahy or whatever. Should say Mulcahy. I watch MASH. O'Hurley. We're gonna get rid of him. He won't hurt you anymore. But if you have him put to death, you go to hell. So I can see some of that. The problem I have is a lot of these times the evidence can be sketchy, and how many people after 30 years walk from rape.
Right.
And they find out that this was absolutely not the person. We have new techniques in evidence handling, it seems like every day, especially when you look at, if you watch anything that's about cold cases and going back and reviewing the evidence and finding out, we convicted the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily misconduct by the prosecutors. Is that they were using the evidence they had available to them to put a bad guy away.
Yep.
I just think this is going to be a huge bill for the taxpayers of Florida.
It is.
Hey, look, this doesn't mean it's even going to SCOTUS. It gets slapped down in the Court of Appeals, and that's it. SCOTUS doesn't have to hear it.
Yeah, I think this will get slapped down, and I don't think it'll go any further than that. But I mean, this is election year, right? I think this is where DeSantis is trying to look tough on crime, and even his neighbor to the north, our governor. I think they both really came out hard against crime this year. With all I really can't blame them because there's been so much over the past year or so, or 2 years.
Well, it's not addressing the problem, which is not having proper training for the police on the street. A lot of them. Mm-hmm. I think the proper ratio that I heard was they should spend 20% of their time training. But we don't have enough officers to do that. And we have DAs like Fannie Willis who don't do their damn jobs.
Yep.
I'm more interested in getting into prosecuting a former president, which is not within her purview, than she is with actually running cases through her office.
Right.
So, speaking of going to jail, Epstein didn't kill himself.
I
like that line, yeah.
Yeah, so the big story this week on Jeffrey Epstein, his name keeps coming up, even though the list of people that Epstein met with still has not been released. But it did come out this week that the CIA director, William Burns, met with Jeffrey Epstein multiple times in 2014. This is after Jeffrey Epstein had been convicted of sex crimes in 2008. So we've had a list of people after he was convicted, and people knew about this, we've got high-ranking officials that were still meeting with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the rumor I'm hearing, Dave, and I don't know if there's anything to this, is he's a member or he's like a FBI undercover agent. I'm sure that may just be a conspiracy theory, but we'll see where this goes.
I think it probably. First of all, he was not. This was back in 2014. He was not the director of the CIA. He was some under director somewhere else.
He was, right.
You're talking about almost a decade ago. I meet people all the time, and certainly you do, and especially when you were in politics, you have no idea who you're taking pictures with. You have no idea whose hand you're shaking. Someone could walk up to you and shake your hand. Hey, Representative Poland, it's very nice to meet you. And someone snaps a picture, and you say, okay, well, thanks for coming out. And the next thing you know that the guy's died of a triple murder.
Yeah, I think that happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene a couple of times when she was running for office as one of this crazy guy.
I have no friggin' doubt.
You remember that? And people like that find events to go to, and they find people to take photos with. And like you just said, you're just out talking, eyes glossed over, and anybody comes up and wants a picture with you, you're taking a picture. So, look, I don't know if this guy said he was introduced because he was leaving the public sector at that point, moving into the private sector, and he wanted advice on financial services. And his friend said, "You need to talk to Jeffrey Epstein." I don't know. I find it hard to believe he didn't know who Jeffrey Epstein was, because they run in a lot of the same circles.
And maybe he did, and maybe he didn't necessarily care, or he didn't do jail time for what happened in Florida. I don't know how public that conviction was in 2008. I have no idea. I just don't remember.
Yeah, you're right. He did no jail time though, did he?
Right. No. So it wasn't like he was a registered sex offender or anything like that. And if you want to talk to somebody about being in the financial service sector, how about the guy that owns an island?
Yeah, that's what Epstein was good about. I mean, he was good with taking people's money and making them money. So that's how he got well known.
Well, yeah. I mean, say what you want about Mussolini, but the trains ran on time. But yeah, the fact that you get pictures with people, the fact that you take a meeting with a very high profile person in finance, and if you want to get into finance, anything you want to do, find someone who's successful at it and talk to them.
Yep. Now the White House, I was going to say the White House has declined to comment on this. There's been quite a few stories this week that Karine Jean-Pierre has not been able to comment on. She's got like a laundry list of items this week that no comment.
I both think she's an idiot, and I feel horrible for her.
I do too, because she's not a good press secretary, but she checked quite a few boxes for President Biden, and she's got the spot. And I think she does a terrible job.
Imagine being in the major leagues and hitting well below the Mendoza line, but they keep trotting you out there every night to strike out, and that's what was happening to her. Yep. Is every day they keep trotting her out there, and every day Ducey throws one by her, and she strikes out again, and every day it's like, okay, you're back in the lineup, get back out there.
Yeah, because the other big story she's not commenting on is when Biden was vice president, there was a whistleblower that came out this week to some members of Congress and said that he was having business dealings with foreign countries and getting pro-legislation passed for those countries while he was serving with President Obama at the time. Again, this has been a big no comment story this week, but this one's got a little bit of momentum behind it. You've got both of the Republican leaders in the Senate and in the House have sent letters to the FBI requesting more information about these basically forms that were filled out when the FBI investigated it, and they want access to those. So we'll see if there's something behind this. I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
Now, the no comment on that is probably good. And the reason I say that is if there's an active investigation, you don't comment. I don't care. I don't care if you're the subject of any sort of investigation, your lawyer does your talking for you.
Right.
And so that one saying like the smart thing she could have said was, Congress has the authority to subpoena anybody they want, and I would suggest that you talk to the chairman of those committees to find out who they're subpoenaing. I have no idea.
And look,
But
I think
she's not-
Democrats. Yeah, I was gonna say I think Democrats keep Biden. I think one of these is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but they're not going to. Democrats are not going to toss Biden to the wolves until he's reelected potentially. But I think after
that goes back to the short bench.
Yep, yeah, very short.
I mean, who else you can trot out there? Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, there's no bench. That's the problem. I mean, nobody likes the current VP. She is horrible in front of a camera. Word salad anytime she starts talking.
Yeah, she's a moron.
Yeah,
she also, even though she checked a bunch of boxes, there was a hashtag in California, Kamala's a cop, because of all the people that she put in prison for drug charges.
Yeah, she was put tons of people in for marijuana, simple drug charges. Yep.
So all the Dems out there thought that this is our chance. We can get pot legalized nationwide. Nope. They have no desire to do that. Besides the fact that there's so much money in running private prisons, there's just no damn way. No way they're gonna even something as innocuous as marijuana. They're gonna start taking that off the books. No. There's too much money involved in it.
And they contribute to political campaigns. They're one of the highest contributors. So yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Well, smoke them if you got them.
Yes.
If it is a study, and I think this is so anecdotal, says that loneliness is more damaging to your health than smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Yeah, and look, I love these articles that come out after the country's been locked down during COVID for 2 to 3 years. And now they come out and say, by the way, being lonely, you might as well smoke 15 cigarettes a day because that's not as bad for your health as being lonely.
Well, the Surgeon General was on, I think, Fox Business talking about it. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it because I have no respect for his office or anything they have to say anymore.
Yep.
When I say Surgeon General, the C. Everett Koop still pops in my head. And for those who don't know, he was the Surgeon General under Reagan.
Okay. So this article said, and this study said, loneliness is a growing epidemic. It says studies show that half of Americans are feeling lonely and isolated. So, Dave, half of the people out there are lonely and isolated.
Stop watching Pornhub and go meet somebody.
Yes, get a flip phone like we talked about earlier. Get off your phone. Yeah, but they say a couple things on loneliness and why it can be so bad to your health is it reduces your immunity. Probably so because you're sitting inside all day and not outside in the sunlight. It can increase your risk of disease, increases inflammation in the body, which contributes to heart disease and other chronic health conditions. And
of course, the article does say there's a difference between being alone and being lonely.
Yes, right.
Now, look, I truly believe that married men live longer. We don't want to, but we do.
I've heard that.
But it's one of the things that happens around here is every night, here, take my medication. Come take your pills, David. If I'm sick, go to the doctor. You are going to the doctor now.
Yes,
that kind of
for
stuff.
A checkup, probably.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if she wants to keep me alive because she loves me or just wants to torture me. Remember, slow death is much more satisfying.
Yep, there's a real easy answer to this, though. Get outside, get some friends, and talk. I'm with you. People are on the phones too much here.
Go to a bar.
Yes.
Learn to tell a joke. The people on Reddit, the people on Facebook, they're not real.
I've started looking at Reddit a little bit. That is a crazy site. I don't even know what to think about Reddit. You can find anything you want out there. I was looking at ticket resellers the other day, but the information that's on Reddit is incredible.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in a good way.
And not in a bad way either. I mean, the AMAs Ask Me Anything.
Yes.
There's a couple other sites with that stuff where I look up information on prisons and all that stuff that have unvarnished information about what goes on behind prison walls and that kind of stuff. It's stuff that Facebook and Twitter would never allow. Yep. But these people aren't your friend in these Reddit subsections. They're not your friends.
No, not at all.
I'm a member of a gun trading forum, and the owner was chewing me out for saying something to somebody. I said it was a joke. I said, you realize that some of us know each other outside of pretend world, right? He goes, he started laughing. He's like, he goes, okay, I get it. Yeah, like some of us actually know each other.
The forum I like for which is the Outdoor Trader. Do you use that one any?
Yeah, the Outdoors Trader. Yeah, I'm Captain Dave.
Oh, that's such a good website. If you don't know what the Outdoor Trader is, you need to look it up if you're listening.
It's It's outdoors with an S.
Outdoors Trader, right?
.com. Yes. Yep. I've been a member there a long time. I don't go on there much because I have all the guns I need and I'm not looking to sell any.
Yeah, but just a little plug for the Outdoors Trader then.
Yeah.
It's a good website. Go visit.
Hey, Thomas, the owner. Thomas, if you wouldn't mind, I'll take my royalty check now and we'll go ahead and split it with Ken. No, but it's a great website. It's more than gun trading. It's outdoor stuff. It's a lot of crude men's humor if you go into the subsections, but the political discussions and all that stuff. And it does kind of widen your horizons because you realize that there are Democrats who like guns. One of the names on there is Hippie with Guns.
Nice.
So, super nice guy. I don't necessarily think he's a liberal, but yeah, I think he's a kind of a crunchy granola dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, SCOTUS is set to dismantle the federal government agencies.
Yeah, I think this is one of the biggest cases that's going to be in front of SCOTUS for quite a while. You know, Dave, what this comes out of is 40 years ago, there was a case, Chevron versus Natural Resources Defense Council, where basically the Supreme Court ruled that courts should defer to a federal agency's interpretation of any ambiguous statute as long as that interpretation is reasonable. So Congress passes laws. A lot of times they're very generic in nature. And then the federal agency's job is to interpret the law and to put rules in place. And what they're saying is the court should really just defer if they think their interpretation is reasonable. So what happened in this case is a group of commercial fishing companies out there fishing. Historically, they had to pay like a fee, or there was actually a person that would get on a boat and ride with them and make sure they weren't catching too many fish. They were following all the regulations and such. Well, that started costing the federal government too much money to have that person on the boat. So the federal government just says, hey, by the way, now, Mr. Boat and Mr. Boat owner, you owe us so much money. So they just put a charge and said, you owe us like $400. I think it was like a day or either a week. So that boating company and that boat owner actually sued under this doctrine here, and the Supreme Court picked it up. It has made its way to the Supreme Court.
And look, this has wide-ranging implications.
Yes, it's huge. It really is.
This goes into the ATF changing rules on bump stocks. Mm-hmm. When the ATF decides, no, that's not a machine gun. Oh, now it is. Yep. When they start making mechanical changes, so to speak, within the law, with what I do for a living, the EPA unilaterally decided that you have to change refrigerants.
Mm-hmm.
They unilaterally decide you have to go up in efficiency. And they tie it all back to 1970-ish with the creation of the EPA, worst thing Nixon ever did. But giving this alphabet agency this wide, sweeping, unilateral authority because Congress refuses to pass laws.
Yeah, they refuse to do their job. They pass these ambiguous laws that are very generic in nature, and then they let the EPA, like you said, or the ATF, interpret the law and put their own rules in place. And that's what this challenge is. So if this case gets overturned, which I 100% think it's going to get overturned, because I think the court's 6-3 on this one, you could see significant changes to federal agencies and how they have to perform. And then you can see there's going to be a lot of changes for legislation that's passed. They're going to have to actually write detailed legislation now.
Well, yeah, if you look at the National Firearms Act, that was actually passed by Congress and had very specific nuts and bolts in it of what is a machine gun, what is not. Exact measurement. What is a short barrel shotgun? What's a short barrel rifle? Exact measurements. 100 years later, they're making changes to it, but not going through Congress. What happens when the ATF decides that, you know what, we're going to implement a quote assault weapons ban, end quote, and we decided as an agency you can't have these, that this constitutes a machine gun. Well, what's going to happen? I mean, you turn everybody who has a semi-automatic rifle into a felon overnight. And the way they get away with it is that, well, we had a comment period where you could send us emails with your comments on it.
No, I hate all that. I want every time I say this comments period.
Kiss my ass. That's my comment.
I know, exactly. Look, I really think this is why there's such an attack at the moment on members of the Supreme Court, because some of these cases that SCOTUS is choosing to pick are really going to have, serious impacts to how, some of the federal government operates. And this is going to have a huge impact. And I think what outside actors are trying to do is attack the legitimacy of the court. And, they keep attacking the people in the court because they know these decisions are coming down. And they want to say, when this gets overturned, they want to say, well, look at, this justice, or look at, this justice, look at all the bad things they're doing. So they're trying to throw shade on the court for when these decisions come down against them.
I would suggest to Justice Thomas not to go hunting.
Yeah, we need Justice Thomas at the moment.
Yeah, don't go hunting with anybody.
Yeah, one of the liberal justices had to excuse herself from this case. So this is really a 6-2-ish type case. They're going to argue it, end of the year, and then it'll be released sometime in the first quarter of next year. Yeah, this is going to be a big one.
Well, this also goes to that 0.25% penalty if you buy a house and you have above a 600 beacon score.
Right, it does. So things like that would be fair game to be overruled after this, or bring lawsuit against. And
it doesn't have to go to SCOTUS anymore. Now every one of these regulations, if you wanted to overturn it, you'd have to take it all the way up all the way chain. And with SCOTUS picking up this one seemingly innocuous case.
Yes, right.
I mean, you talk about commercial fishermen. I mean, the very low percentage of the population commercial fishes. So low that they make TV shows about it because it's so rare that people actually operate as commercial fishermen.
Right.
So it's such an innocuous case that they're hearing that this tiny little domino may start them falling. And you're right, Congress is going to have to do their job, and with split chambers, most of it's not going anywhere.
Which is good for citizens of the U.S. at the moment. The less they do, the better we are.
Yes, dysfunction in Washington is a good thing for the citizens.
Do nothing. Yeah, do least as possible. Just go up there and collect your paycheck and come back home.
Yeah, get your $170,000 a year, sit in your office, come out, vote up or down, hold your hearings, and fly home on the weekends and talk to your constituents. That's it. I hate when I hear people go, what do my elected officials do for me? Nothing, and that's good.
Nothing. That's good. Yes.
Well, I want this. I don't care. Congress exists to pass laws within the confines of the Constitution. They forgot about that sometime around 1800.
Yeah, I remember when I was running for office, somebody came up to me one day and said, what is the first bill you would pass if elected? And now my answer would be, I don't want to pass a bill because most of them are straight garbage. But back then I just made up something, kind of offhanded. I want to do blah, 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 blah. But honestly, the less anybody can pass, whether it's at the state level, local level, federal level, the better off we are.
A good answer is I'm going to lay on the no button. When they vote to open session, I'm going to hit no.
I'm just going to put a book on the no button.
Yeah, and go sit with the snacks over in the side room over there with all the really unhealthy snacks. Hey, I make a motion that we turn this 40 days into 40 calendar days. Let's get it done. Let's get the hell out of here.
Exactly.
So don't get taken hostage in Georgia. This was an interesting story that's made its way around a little bit.
Yeah, it is. A federal appeals court has ruled police can shoot hostages, even intentionally, if they fear for their lives or to stop a fleeing felon. I'll let you take it from here.
So, a felon hijacked took a truck driver hostage. It was a logging truck. Mm-hmm. Laying in the floorboard, pointing a gun at the hostage. Well, they blocked off this logging road, and he was told to drive through the police cars, and you've got a gun pointed at your chest. They lit him up.
Shot him 9 times, I think, by troopers and deputies.
Again, that's a less than 1/3 hit rate. So I mean, again, 20% training. So I understand if you have to disable the vehicle and the truck ends up flipping over and accidentally somebody dies. I understand if you're taking a shot at the bad guy and shot goes through him and into the hostage. That's very unfortunate, but it happens.
I know. And, they also said that a federal court ruled this week that police owe the hostage nothing for his medical bills or the lasting effects of the officer-inflicted gunshot wounds. So basically...
Qualified immunity.
Do not get taken hostage. If you do, I don't know what the answer is here. It's tough, right? Because I know if I was a police officer and somebody's running me down in a car, you're going to try to disable the person driving the car, right? And shoot the person driving the car. So I get that part of it. The other part of it is this guy had a gun pointed to his head. So he was pretty much dead either way. He was just in a bad situation.
Look at the bad guy and go, look, we're in this together now, buddy. Let's go.
I know, right?
What did Garth Brooks say? Never hit the brakes and he was shifting gears.
That is a Garth Brooks song.
To hide behind qualified immunity, I've heard both arguments of it, but both from attorneys on how either the importance of qualified immunity, because obviously we don't want a litigious society where every time a police officer handcuffs somebody and they get a pinched wrist, that they can sue.
Yes, agree.
We also don't want people executed on the damn street. So the answer is going to have to be rein in the qualified immunity. Mm-hmm. And this guy may end up winning. This was a federal appeals court. It can go higher. I don't know if he will take it higher, but guy did nothing wrong and got lit up by the good guys.
Yeah, I just don't know what the answer is to this one. I see both sides of this one. Can argue both sides of it.
Well, some of the officers said they didn't know he was the hostage. All they knew is bad guys in the truck, so they started lighting up the truck. Some of them, I mean, where the holes were in the glass from looking at the picture was where the driver was sitting, and of course that makes sense. You're trying to disable the driver. You have to shoot where the driver is. I understand, and I understand you also can't let the public be endangered by a runaway logging truck. So I don't know what the right answer was in this situation, but and I think this was for suing them personally. It's not that he can't sue the municipality. I think this was personal.
Okay.
Because they're talking about independent defendants. So the qualified immunity is what saves your street cop from being sued by everybody and being sued personally.
Right.
And if you were to completely get rid of it, It'd be like getting they'd have to carry personal insurance, sort of like the way doctors do. They'd have to carry malpractice insurance, police insurance.
And nobody would be a police officer then.
Yeah, and why would you take a job like down in South Georgia making $32,000 a year and then have $15,000 a year in insurance premiums to try to cover your butt?
Yeah, people suing you all the time. Yeah, totally agree.
All right, so we have the Run for the Rockies, follow-up from recent shows.
Yeah, just a couple quick follow-ups. Molson Coors recorded record profits, it sounds like, in the first quarter. And then they've said their sales have continued to skyrocket while Bud Light sales continue to tank. Bud Light, I saw this week also, is starting to give away free beer to their stores. So they're basically like, please take this free beer. We're not going to charge you. We're going to make it all right for you.
I heard they're giving a case of beer to every employee for the distributors.
Yeah, but it's just a funny continuation of the story. And the Bud Light executives, or Anheuser-Busch executives, came out today and said they had their earnings call. Said, "Look, this was one beer can, one small campaign. This was not. It was completely blown out of proportion. But look, I don't think any of my friends I hang out with care at this point. This was a terrible publicity for Anheuser-Busch, and Coors Light is reaping the rewards."
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the nature of business. The people, again, I feel sorry for are the guys who run the beer trucks. First of all, they're getting hammered with, if you walk in with cases of Bud Light, people just walking off the street are yelling at you. I'm like, what? He's like, I make $25 an hour dragging
I don't need people yelling
of beer
at me.
into refrigerators. I have no control over Dylan Mulvaney.
No, not and what somebody in New York did, what a marketing agent in New York did.
Yeah, I mean, and look, that I think she's done. I think she's done at Bud. I don't see how they can bring her back unless they try to do it quietly. They let this settle down for 6 months, wait for their news cycle to turn over, and move on. But you can't crap on your customers. You just can't. I mean, that's what they did. They decided that they were just going. Well, we want to be more inclusive, so yeah, screw all the frat boys. Well, that's who puts down a case of Bud Light in a weekend, or a night. So First Republic Bank failed, was seized, and has now been sold to J.P. Morgan Chase.
Yeah, this is a third bank failure over the last month or so. They had an auction over the weekend. It sounded like J.P. Morgan won. J.P. Morgan, if everybody doesn't know, is the biggest bank in the U.S. now. They just continue to get bigger. And there's been a lot of, I don't know if you saw the regional banks this week, Dave, but they really took a hit this week. So there's even fears now about 4 or 5 other regional banks that are heavily focused in technology and gathering assets, from people that have money in there from over 250, the FDIC limit. So there's still a lot of banking noise out there that's going on. So we got to see where this takes us.
Yeah, it is primarily focused on the technology side. Tech millionaires and billionaires that kept a lot of cash on hand. Most sophisticated, wealthy people don't keep tons of cash on hand. Now, they may move things in and out of money market accounts, but money sitting in the bank, like you could think of like having a passbook savings account, doesn't do the ultra wealthy a whole lot of good. But if you're one of these tech companies or tech millionaires, you may keep that kind of money on hand to make a quick buy, especially if you're doing stuff with day trading and that sort of thing, where you keep a good bit of money on hand so you can make that move.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I don't even think Elon Musk has $250,000 in one bank, in one entity, in one bank account, in one bank. I mean, he's a little too smart for that. And he's back and forth between the first, second, and third richest man in the world. And if you were to if you'd ask him how much money he has in his pocket, he probably has $50 for tipping.
Probably so.
Actually, I think Donald Trump said that in a Playboy interview years and years ago. They asked how much cash do you carry in your wallet. He pulls it out and goes, "Oh, I carry some ones and fives for tipping." So that's, well, how do you pay for lunch? Well, people buy me lunch. So it's strange that it's very localized. It's very localized in California for a lot of this too. With Silicon Valley Bank, with First Republic, there's a couple other banks that have Republic in their name that have put on their websites, we are not associated with that bank in California.
No, that's funny. I don't blame them. I mean, if you've got a lot of money, the deposits are starting to leave and they're starting to get to the big banks because JP Morgan, the government's not going to let JP Morgan fail. So if you had a bunch of money, why would you stick it in a small regional bank? I'm putting mine in the biggest bank out there.
Yeah, I mean, every dollar I have over $250 in cash is elsewhere.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have a quick note on here about THC oil in Georgia.
Yeah, I thought I'd let you tell this story. I think one of your friends that up in your area was the first person to buy THC oil.
Legal THC oil in Georgia. Jimmy J. Bo Wages was the first person in the state of Georgia to buy legal medical marijuana, and it was a store in Marietta. And honestly, I asked him, I said, well, how much was it? And he told me the volume of whatever it was. And I have no frame of reference for how long that lasts. But it was like $40 or $50.
Okay. Yeah. Very reasonable. I think we thought it would be a lot more expensive.
And I think it will be. I think it will be. And again, I have no idea how much that amount will last him. I don't know if that's the maximum you're allowed to possess, or if that's something that Sydney will go through in a week, and he has to go back 4 times to get that amount. And now we start talking about a couple $100 a month, which on a family that's trying to support somebody who's very ill is a burden.
Yep. We'll have to do a couple things. I'd love to have him on the show one day, and then we need to watch how many people start getting registered with the THC cards in Georgia. Now that you can buy it, it'll be interesting to see if the numbers pick up, because I think there were only 17,000 people on the registry before. So it'll be interesting to see if that number really spikes.
Now that it exists. Yeah.
Yes, right. I would imagine it would.
This is a good time to remind you, these are our opinions and not those of anyone not on the show or any respective company for which we may own, work, or otherwise associate ourselves with on a regular or irregular basis. Also, you can find other episodes and relevant stories over at thegeorgiavirtue.com. Give me the mule.
Yes, my mule of the week is the Navy. They have now invited an active duty drag queen to be their digital ambassador as part of a recent drive to attract the most talented and diverse workforce in the world. And this is amid combat plunging recruitment. So their recruitments are down, new people coming in are down, and they thought, what a better way than get a drag queen to help.
In the Navy, you can see the 7 C's. Look, any other entity could do this. You would roll your eyes. It can't be the Navy. You cannot.
I know.
Of all the Navy gay jokes that I've made my entire career, and it's made sense. In fact, I have a picture on my Facebook. It was from the Army Navy game, and they had written "Go Navy" on the back of their uniforms, right? Well, some people must have gone to go get something to drink, or something else, and the 3 people that were left were GAY. And of course, that made its way around all the Army pages and all that stuff. I mean, it's of all the services to do that for the Navy, and he's a pretty man.
I didn't see. His name is Joshua Kelly. He's a yeoman 2nd class, and his stage name that he goes by is Harpy Daniels.
Look, he's a pretty dude.
Okay.
I'm sure he is very popular underway.
I'm also sure that China is terrified now of the U.S. Navy. China and Russia, they've got to be just shaking in their boots.
First of all, Taiwan and Bangkok and everything else have no room. First of all, when they have trans, they actually pull it off pretty well, so to speak. But yeah, the first of all, we're not supposed to be using TikTok as service members are not supposed to be using TikTok. They say he wasn't using a government device, but that's what he was using. Is this who do you want joining the military? I'm not saying this guy's not an excellent yeoman. And look, a yeoman is as important as an aviator. They both have their jobs to perform, whether you're an electrician or you're fixing tires on jets. All those jobs are equally as important because you need all those people working in order to have a cohesive fighting unit. That aside, I just think if it's not even a joke. This is his hobby. I mean, this is his side gig. It's a
side gig.
Yeah, I mean, this is what he does on the weekends is go and perform as a drag performer. And honestly, I don't care if that's what he does. I don't want him thrown out of the Navy. I think this was a poor decision on the Navy's part.
Yep.
All right, so we have some quick updates on some bills that Governor Kemp signed. SB 222, no donations to election boards.
Yeah, so Georgia's now the 24th state since the 2020 election that have adopted a law to prohibit, limit, or regulate funding to local school or local
election boards.
Yeah. So, if you remember back in the 2020 election, Mark Zuckerberg gave about $45 million to local election offices in Georgia. And the legislature this year passed a law that said no outside agency now can give money to a local election office in Georgia. Very controversial bill. No, I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, I don't like outside influence and outside money coming in, contributing to these election boards. So I'm fine with this one. I think it's a good law.
That's fine. I don't think it's going to fix anything. It's not going to fix the people that are counting the votes.
No, it's not.
All right, HB 383. Don't hurt a healthcare worker.
Look, this is the one that I get the intent behind it, but Georgia continues to create these special classes of people where, this is stiffer penalties if somebody hurts a healthcare worker. So what Georgia's done over the years is say if you're a healthcare worker and you get assaulted, then there's a maximum penalty or there's an enhanced penalty on that. And it's the same way with other professions out there. So this is just another bill that I don't think anybody says I don't know. It's just one of those bills where I guess penalties for different classes of people.
I guess Deion Patterson is really lucky that he only killed a patient and wounded four others and didn't clip any of the healthcare workers, or he'd really be in trouble.
Yeah,
I do not like special classes of victims. I don't like hate crimes law. I don't like special laws for assaulting police officers. I don't like special laws for assaulting fat men. We're all equal in the eyes of the law. And that should go as far as accused and for the victims. All right, we got HB 129. Opens up Georgia welfare programs allowing pregnant mothers to receive funds once pregnant.
Yeah, that's basically the kicker on this one. So just says if you're a pregnant mother, you can receive funds. So this is more really enhancing access to healthcare in Georgia for pregnant mothers.
That's not what it's about. It's about trying to shut up the left. When they go, if you're going to make me pay for have this baby, you need to pay for it. And George said, "All right, you know."
That's exactly what it is. I was trying to be nice.
Yeah, the heartbeat bill is here to stay, and if you are destitute, we'll help you get the money to get the prenatal care you need. We already have food stamps, already have WIC for pregnant mothers.
Right.
I don't know what this is besides throwing money. This may have been a deal that helped push through the heartbeat bill. I don't know. They said we'll do this in the back end, or if it's the state covering its own ass, they're saying, okay, yeah, you can deduct them, and if you need money, we'll help give it to you.
Yeah, I sort of think that's what it was.
HB 302. This is the good one. Provides legal protections for stalking victims in Georgia.
Yeah, and this is the one that Jessica helped out on, and approached her state rep and talked to him. And this bill got passed during the session. We gave an update earlier this year on this, but it was finally signed into law by Governor Kemp this week.
Yeah, outstanding.
Yeah, it's very
outstanding. I wish they would have named it the Szilagyi law for two reasons: make people try to pronounce Szilagyi, and the other is Jessica hates laws named after people.
Yeah, she does. She always told me to vote no on any law that was named after someone.
Jessica's Law. Screw Jessica. All right, Ken, your closing thought as we're running along?
Look, I saw this earlier this week. A couple of my friends I used to serve with brought this up. I sort of agree with them. I think Governor Kemp's running for president. You heard it here first. I think he's doing too much. He's really getting himself out there on a national scene. I think DeSantis is going down in the polls, and I think there's room for Governor Kemp to jump in and be that candidate that can challenge President Trump. He's already gone up against him, and he's won. And I think he potentially can for president this year. I think he's running. I think he'll announce sometime in the next 2 to 3 months. I don't buy all the stuff that he's going to wait and run for Senate in 4 years or 3 years, whatever it is. I think he's running for president. So we'll see what transpires over the summer.
Man, the first thing I would hit him with is you're a liar. You ran for governor. You ran for the office that you wanted. You give us a year and then you start campaigning. You're a liar.
I mean, he's already campaigning. I really think he's running. I do. He's
now I would take Rivian. I take Rivian hanging around his neck.
Now Rivian's a problem, right?
Yeah, I would take Rivian hanging around his neck and throw him in the Savannah River and see if he could swim.
But Governor Kemp went over to Switzerland a while back and spoke at the
Davos.
The Davos. He spoke to the National Governors Association a couple weeks ago. He's been on CNN this weekend. He's making his rounds everywhere.
He's still a young guy.
Yes,
I think it'd be a tactical error, and I think it would be bad for the state.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it could be, but if he can run for president and still be governor, which I think he can in Georgia, does it really? What's the downside to this? He could. Because he
uses up all his powder before he gets a chance to run against Ossoff.
Yes, that would be the downside.
Is you only have so much in your chest. All right, so Ed Sheeran, I don't even know what song he does. Wins his lawsuit. He was being sued by Marvin Gaye's partner's family for saying that he stole some of the music from was it Let's Get It On?
Let's Get It On, yes.
Which dropped more panties.
That's a great way to end the show, Dave.
Oh, good God. But is the kickers I was scrolling through the story was I scrolled down and found the plaintiff's attorney, Benjamin Crump.
Gotcha.
So that's the line under is Ben Crump. Look, when this guy shows up, there's no case, and he's a charlatan. Yep. He should never walk into a courtroom ever again. Keep your law license. Go do press conferences. Charge families whatever you charge them. But you walk into a courtroom, and again, I'm a juror. I already don't like you.
Well, listen, Ed Sheeran's going to be in concert at Mercedes sometime this summer. My daughter wants me to take her, so if you don't know his songs, you got to buy Connie a ticket. You got to go down to the Mercedes and see Ed Sheeran in concert.
I don't want to go to a concert with people I like.
and the Dome is the worst place to watch a concert. The sound is horrible in that place.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to really want. I'd have to really want to go see the Eagles or something. And even then, I was not spending $1,500 a ticket. So, on that happy news, on behalf of Eric Cumby, our awesome editor, Ken, my partner in endeavor, I'm Dave Roberts. Have a great one.
Catch me howling at the moon.